Thank you for joining me, guys. Appreciate you jumping in this video today. We're going to be talking about type 9s and conflict. Oh, I hate it. Oh, it makes me feel sick inside. Conflict with people. I don't like it. We're going to be looking at Beatrice Chestnut's book, The Enneagram Guide to Waking Up. Look, I actually do read these things. And we're going to be checking out what she has to say about conflict. Okay, just a reminder that on my website, tomlahue.com, you can book Enneagram coaching appointments, relationship coaching, all kinds of people all over the world I meet with. So much fun to meet new people and talk to them about their life. And also there's information about the classes I offer there on my website. Some of them are live on Zoom and some of them are on demand. I'm always adding to that, so just continue to check that out. Lots of great content there and resources as well. And thanks to my patrons. I really appreciate your continued support. I know you don't have to do it, so thank you so much for your generosity. All right, so let's talk about conflict. Now, I'm going to start by telling you I'm a 7, wing 6, very strong wing 6. I don't like conflict. I hate conflict. I am an assertive person, but when conflict comes around, I tend to get compliant. I just don't want it to happen, so I just kind of like go along with people too much, and I'm like, oh, whatever I need to do to just make this stop. I don't like conflict. And I remember being in graduate school taking a class called Change, Power, and Conflict Management. And that was a very eye-opening course for me because I had to realize that, you know, conflict isn't always bad. Sometimes conflict is necessary. And I know that you know this objectively, like sometimes conflict is necessary, but today we're going to investigate a little bit and pry into this subject and challenge you a little bit more to be willing to step into conflict when it's necessary. Think of it like this. When 9s are of average health, when they're doing okay, they tend to be like peacekeepers in their world. They do what it takes to keep the peace, and sometimes that means giving in to people or giving in to strong-willed demands just because I don't want there to be problems. I want the vacation to work out okay. I want my job to be all right, so I'll just do whatever Nancy says. Probably Karen, I should use the word Karen. I got to do whatever Karen wants because it's just not worth the problem. It's just not worth the conflict. So if that means I've got to do a little bit of extra to get along with Karen, then I'll do what's necessary. At their average health, 9s could be like that, peacekeepers. But when 9s sort of can, you know, push against those impulses a little bit, kind of fight that dragon of sloth a little bit better, when they don't need peace externally in order to feel peace internally, when they can let that go a little bit, 9s can do an amazing thing in this world. They bring peace into the world. In other words, you're so full of peace. Think of it like that. You're so full of peace and harmony and tranquility that you just kind of push it out there into your external world. And that is a wonderful, awesome thing that you do, whether you know it or not, is you bring the very thing that you want in life. You bring peace and harmony and mediation and advising and refereeing into the world. And you become a peacemaker. You start making peace where there isn't peace, where there's conflict, where there's chaos, where there's crisis, where there is unrest. You come in and you mediate that. But look, you've got to have a strong peace core yourself. Peace core, I like that. Okay. Work on our peace core. There we go. I like that as a 9. Work on your own peace core, which means you have to withdraw. Remember, you're a withdrawn type, which means you got to get away from everybody else. You got to get away from me. You got to get away from everybody else's agenda, everybody else's voice, because you know what happens? We all drowned yours out. We drowned out your voice and you start hearing us instead of hearing yourself. You got to get away, get as close to nature as possible. Sit out there on that rock in the sun looking over that lake and don't just narcotize out and zone out. Try to engage with yourself and hear your own voice. And as you hear your own voice, It's going to bring up stuff that might feel uncomfortable that needs to be addressed in your life. But you got to recharge that peace battery. Like, go out there and soak up that peace from nature, soak up that peace from the sun, from the river, from the grass, from the forest, soak it all up, and then go back into your world and be an agent of peace and harmony and comfort and tranquility, and just be that nice warm blanket that just reminds us all we need to work together. We need to have harmony. Who cares how much we accomplish if we're all divided and antagonistic against one another? That's your voice. Your voice is the one that reminds us, hey, it's great to be driven, it's great to be challenging, it's great to overcome obstacles, but we need to be unified, and we need to listen to each other, and we need to respect one another, and we need to hear each other. You bring that at your best, but when life is too much for you and your peace battery is low, you'll probably just try to run away from chaos and conflict and just everything that feels awkward. I just got to get out of here. I can't take it anymore. Okay, in other words, you'll protect your own peace rather than bringing peace with you. And that's okay. Sometimes you need to, all right? But okay, that's the idea. So avoiding conflict and disharmony. All right, so let's put on my nerd glasses and let's see what she says. You may notice that you have a natural ability to be energetically attuned to the level of harmony and disharmony in your world. Okay, I could talk about this all day. And this is just the first sentence on this paragraph. So I'm not going to talk about it all day. But let me just say it like this. I have noticed in all of my appointments that a lot of you nines are so tuned in to other people and what's going on in their lives that it almost looks like a psychic gift. It almost looks like you can just read things that others of us can't read. You can be so attuned to other people and how they're doing. Now, look at the dark side of this is you're often not in tune with yourself and how you're doing. Okay, so there's your blind spot, is sometimes you don't know yourself as well as you might know everybody else. You don't know your own agenda as well as you know their agenda. You don't know your own needs and wants as well as you know everybody else's. So there's the dark side of that, something to work on. But it is an amazing thing that I've seen with nines, and sometimes fours, and sometimes twos, but nines, especially nine-wing ones, especially nine-wing one females, it's like you have this ability to just kind of read people and to read a room and know, like, that person's not doing well. Now, you don't necessarily feel obligated to fix anything. You're not a two, but you can just pick it up. And I've even had some nines tell me things like, I just knew that guy's liver wasn't right, or I knew his kidneys weren't right. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this? And it's almost like people have halos and you can just kind of read the energy coming off of people or relationships and just know, like, there's disharmony there. Like, there's a disruption in the force. Okay, all right. So it might be interesting for you to think about that and see if you relate to that in any way. Maybe you've already know all that about yourself. Like, oh, I just, like maybe you can walk into a house and just know, like, this house is haunted, or there's something evil here, or into a business and just think something's not right here. Maybe you just have that strong. I don't have that as much as I'd like to have that. I don't sense that stuff so much. I guess I'm so stuck on my own agenda, I don't really necessarily pick up all the agendas of everybody else so well. All right, so avoiding discomfort and harmony. You tend to try to create harmony with the people around you, and you work against conflict, disharmony, and tension of any kind. Okay, now remember, sometimes conflict is good, and sometimes disharmony is necessary in order for us to get to the next level, in order for us to grow, in order for us to deal with problems. We're going to have disharmony and conflict at times. So not all conflict is bad. Unnecessary conflict, yeah, we should root that stuff out. Be like, there's no point in us bickering and arguing and fighting. We're on the same team. We want the same thing. Let's get our heads together. Let's talk it out. Yeah. But let's suppose there's somebody in the office that's being a jerk, okay? So Marty over there is being a jerk. He's just being a bully. He's being a tyrant. He's being an idiot, okay? And everybody's having disharmony with him. Okay, disharmony's not the problem. Marty's the problem. And an 8, for example, would want to call that out and say, Marty, you're the problem. So knowing the difference, like, this is necessary conflict and it needs to be addressed. Can you do that? Okay, that's the challenge. Are you able to recognize that and do that? Can you do that kind of work? I know you can, but are you willing to do that kind of work? Suppose there's Marty over there who's being a tyrant, being a jerk. Are you able to take a deep breath, push that 6 down, lean over into that 8 a little bit, and go have a difficult conversation with Marty? You know, you might be one of the best people to do this job because you're going to be sensitive. And it might sound something like this. Hey, Marty, listen, I really care about you, and I think you're a great guy, but some of the ways that you're interacting in the office are creating all kinds of problems. And I don't want to see you get in trouble, and I don't want to see you end up getting fired. I want to see you, getting along with everybody, and I want to see you here for a long time. And I'm only coming to tell you this because I care about you. Now, that is such a nice, smooth, kind way to try to address this problem. And my guess is that's probably how you would address it on a good day. So this kind of work is, in many ways, what you are designed to do. It doesn't feel easy. It may not feel comfortable. You're going to have to disrupt your own personal comfort in order to bring comfort into the world. That's worth repeating. You may find that you have to disrupt your own personal comfort in order to bring peace and harmony and comfort into the world. And are you willing to do that? Because at your best, that's what you do. You go into chaos, you go into conflict, and you harmonize. You say, hey, I don't think we're listening to each other. Let's take a second and let's hear what Marty has to say. Go ahead, Marty. And 9s are just great, can be great at this kind of work. And realize every office, every school, every fire department, every police department, everywhere needs this person who will do this kind of work. You might beat yourself up because, oh, I'm not driven like the 3s to overcome and accomplish goals. I get driven and then I lose my motivation. But let me tell you something. You never lose your motivation to create harmony and to live in peace and to have tranquility and comfort in your life. You never lose that motivation. And so let's let that motivate us to do a great work wherever you find yourself, in whatever business you find yourself, or whatever group you find yourself in. So notice if you feel bothered with people who inject tension into the environment and disturb the peace, and you might find yourself mediating conflicts. Great. That's good. Okay. You have a gift of helping people understand and get along with each other. And notice if sometimes conflict ends up keeping you asleep to yourself or dealing with conflict. Okay, so I think that's a great place to stop right there. It's a good challenge just to remember that not all conflict is bad. Some conflict is necessary, and you're going to feel anxious, you're going to feel upset, you're going to feel disturbed, you're going to feel like your boat is rocking. But if you can handle that, you can be an agent of peace, harmony, and tranquility in your world and bring that. Look, let's say it this way. There is a great need for peace in this world. Look, everybody's yelling at each other. Everybody's saying what they believe and driven by their agenda. What are we not doing? Listening to each other. What are we not doing? Sitting in silence. What are we not doing? Hearing one another, respecting each other. You're wired to do that, okay? So remind the rest of us that we need to do that work as well. Remind us that it's in our best interest to pause and to listen, and that we don't always have to do something. Sometimes we just need to be quiet, and we need to hear others, and we need to respect others, and we need to prioritize getting along as much as we prioritize getting results. And you can remind us all of that great truth if you can handle a little bit of conflict, if you can be present to life as it is. I'll see you next time.